That's the conversation we're having here at the moment. And it's really interesting what you say there, because in the UK, I mean, I know much more about the UK. I don't know as much about the US, but it's really interesting hearing the parallels. And over here, we have the same thing where Labour, the lefty, they started realizing, if we get more and more immigrants come over. But there's been a twist recently, which is similar to what you've just said, which is that the Muslims have started setting up their own parties now. So they're fucked now. Labour's lost everyone who didn't want the sort of Muslim. They've lost them already. We're not going back to Labour now. And they've now lost the Muslims. So now they're setting up a whole new thing, which is scary, quite frankly. Well, I always think with America, like I've been in there quite a lot recently over the last couple of years and talked to all different kinds of people. And, they are concerned about Mexican immigration. But then I say, yeah, but would you rather have that or what we're having in the UK right now? And they all go, okay, yeah, Mexican. Okay.
I disagree.
What?
I hear this all the time. And the reason I disagree is it's quantity with us. And by the way, the Mexican drug cartels are nothing to shake a stick at.
I raise the grooming gangs.
No, I know it's terrible, but it's way more. Look, I don't think any of them should be there. I wish they weren't in my country either. But the quantity, we've taken in 1/4 of Mexico's population. We're just going to become Latin America. There will be no America. There will be no England. Who's going to fight the next battle against slavery? Who's going to be sending in money when there's an earthquake someplace or taking out a warlord? They are destroying the last outposts of Western civilization, but I would say particularly Britain and America. I'm not really counting on the French.
I wouldn't. The funny thing, because I lived in South America for about 10 years, and it's funny that it's not controversial for South Americans to joke about themselves and say, God, I wish we had been colonized by the British.
Yes.
Because look at Australia and so on, America. They will say that, but if you say that as an American or a Brit, you're looked at as some sort of ultra right-wing whatever.
No, that's the difference.
It is true, and I think most Mexicans who are not sort of ultra woke or whatever, most South Americans would admit that, okay, well, if you make everybody Mexican in America, you have Mexico, and Mexico has severe problems for not just territory. It's the people and the culture.
Yes.
However, it is a Christian country.
Catholic.
Right. We've lived next to Ireland and they're Catholic. We're sort of okay with it. And America, it's not so different. And if I had a choice between waking up tomorrow and the Mexicans have taken over Britain or Sharia law and Islam, come on.
But they haven't come close. Well, they might. You have a smaller island.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's much smaller. It's it's approaching 10% of the population now.
I don't understand why England is doing this to itself. It's the most beautiful country. But if I could say something about what you just said about Spain colonizing Latin America, there are differences between Catholicism and Protestantism that are manifest, maybe even in Northern and Southern Ireland or Britain. But I know with in North America, South America, one of the hallmarks of the Catholic Church, and I don't think a lot of modern Catholics particularly go for this. They've become just like normal Christians. I think the same thing is happening to the Mormons now too. But it's this reverence of the poor, as if there is something particularly holy about not having money. Whereas, the Calvinists, the descendants of the Calvinists, we show God likes us by being prosperous.
That's interesting.
And that does create a different culture. There is this weird sort of worship of and also there's much more deference to a hierarchy, whereas Protestantism is totally individualism. It's you and God. We're not going through a priest. We're not listening to a pope. So the Catholicism difference does actually make a difference to that culture.
That's really interesting. I don't know too much about the differences there. Gosh. Well, so I'm trying to think, are there Catholic countries that are extremely prosperous and successful? There probably are. I hate asking these questions because whatever. I bet if I could go through a map, I could show you that generally the same type of people, the Protestants are going to be better off culturally. But obviously that changes as people dump Catholicism. And unfortunately,
there was a famous, I don't know, Time magazine cover before either of us were reading magazines, that is God dead? Because so many Americans were allegedly, back in like the 70s, early 70s, so many Americans were allegedly dropping their religion. It turns out they weren't dropping their religion, they were dropping Catholicism.
Really? Huh. I'm an atheist. But I just don't believe in stuff. But why does that make you laugh?
Because now I can't say, well, you worship authority too much, or
I don't believe in anything. I just live my life.